Welcome to Finding Monster Right, show about fighting monsters, right?
Oppenheimer didn't hang dong.
I'm the fat man Adam. That was one of the bombs, right?
Yeah. I'm Allie, but honestly, the thing that I just said is a more core part of my identity than that. So welcome to Finding Monster Right, the show about finding monsters, right?
Right.
Anyway, this episode we're not talking about Cillian Murphy's lack of dong hanging. We're talking about Loki.
Yeah, we're thrown back to June of 2021 for the Loki series on Disney Plus. There's a new season coming out, but we thought it'd be a great time to talk about the god/goddess themselves.
Yeah, specifically, we're asking, isn't she Loki? Putting the miss back in Mischief.
Isn't she Loki? I don't know the rest of the song, so I've just been singing that part of it the whole time, like randomly throughout the week.
Normally my cure for that is to listen to the whole song all the way through, but like I can't listen to Isn't She Lovely. It sucks because it's such a pretty song, and then like it just goes into like, I can't believe what God has done. He put my penis juice into a lady and made a daughter, and isn't she lovely? And it's like, I don't think you know how sex works. God's not there. It's like, this is why I left the church, is like people will treat God like a succubus that takes your seed and puts it in something else. Like absolutely nothing good can be done by people. It has to be done by God. It's so weird and so creepy. And speaking of gods,
let's stop talking about gods and giving birth to weird things,
and start talking about gods and giving birth to weird things.
Loki.
Yeah.
We last brushed up on Loki in our one of our Christmas episodes with us Sleipnir games.
Yeah.
We talked about Loki's son, the eight-legged horse.
Yeah, but that's not all of Loki's sons. And also, in that instance, Loki, who has not matched with me on Timey yet. This is a bit, I don't know if the listeners are privy to this, but Adam and I have a long-term bit where I keep matching with people on my dating apps that have deity names.
Yeah. What's it been so far? There's Odin and Ra.
I got Athena, I got Ares, I got Ra. I got Ja one time, and that was cool because it was like, finally I bagged the big guy.
Oh, if you get Isis, watch out.
I mean, poor people named Isis, man. Although I think we're past that. I don't think people are worried about Isis anymore. I don't think they're in the news.
I think the new red flag name is Daenerys, or just straight up Khaleesi.
Don't fucking do that to me.
Okay.
My queen once and always.
But anyway, so you often match with gods on there.
Yeah, but never a Loki. And why, if you're picking a new name for yourself?
I think this might be a generational thing. I think like you're about to see a bunch of kindergartners hit the mix. Oh, actually, man, the first Avengers was a while back. I think there's somewhere in some 4th grade class there's a bunch of Lokis.
But if you're naming yourself, why might you not want to conjure the image of Loki?
Well, Loki is a trickster. Mm-hmm. Loki's all about playing pranks and has mixed allegiances when it comes to his interactions with the different gods of Norse mythology.
According to Behind the Name, Loki showed up in the top names in England and Wales for the first time in 2011 in the top 1,000 names, and has only increased since then.
That tracks.
Yeah. Anyway, Loki.
It's because all those Welsh are a bunch of tricksters, you know?
Alright, well, it was only a matter of time before we had to cancel Adam.
I've reviewed my true colors, the Welsh. They're on my hit list. Oh shit! God, I meant shit list.
He was so good. He was so good for so long, folks. I can only keep him from white manning for so long. I'm doing my best over here.
It was me, Loki, all along.
Oh shit! Hey, Loki.
I'm ruining everyone's reputation. Haha! I'll see you later.
Well, guess what? Mission Impossible mask. I'm also Loki. Anyway.
Yeah, back to the god.
So, Loki.
A giant? Or half giant?
Yeah. Often, he's the son of Laufey and what's his dad's name? Farbauti. So, interestingly, Loki's last name is Loki Laufeyjarson. So he's named after his mother, the giantess Laufey, rather than his father, like Thor Odinson. And then, of course, in the Marvel movies, they made it so that Laufey is his father instead, even though Fey is a feminine suffix in Old Norse.
Yeah.
Because, they don't want to confuse the viewer by depicting Thor and Loki as anything but white, Christian, straight, heterosexual, fucking like a broken train all the time, getting all the ladies, watching college football, part of a Southern Baptist convention, mainline Protestantism.
And we'll get into that as we talk about the series.
Yeah. So, Loki in mythology is usually counted as male, but also takes on a feminine aspect very frequently, and in fact a whole female gender.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple instances where Loki turns into, for example, a female mare in the story we've already talked about during the Sleipnir episode. Loki eats a witch's heart at one point, and this impregnates him and has him give birth to a bunch of horrible monsters, which is normally a role that is fulfilled by a goddess in other mythologies. There is a story where he goes to some divine banquet with the other Aesir and just starts talking shit. And Odin mentions how Loki was a milkmaid for 8 years and mothered children on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Loki throws back at him that Odin spent time on Earth as a female fortune teller, taking women's magic, which was taboo in among the Aesir and also the Old Norse in general. And Odin was like, yeah, we all do that. Gender's a fuck, Loki, which is a conversation I've definitely had before. There was also, very famously, an instance where a giant stole Thor's hammer and wanted to marry the goddess Freya, because this is a recurring theme, apparently.
Everyone wants to get in that bed with Freya.
Apparently, yes. Well, giants especially, I suppose. Girl's got a type, even if she doesn't want it. Girl attracts a type, rather. But...
yeah. Maybe there's like a big giant bar where like her picture's hanging up.
Anyway. So... Heimdall suggests, why don't we dress Thor as Freya? Here's a funny idea. Let's dress Thor as Freya, and then he can just steal back the hammer at the wedding. And Loki is, like, suddenly extremely into the idea. And, becomes Thor's... And, disguises himself come herself as Thor's bridesmaid. And the other gods are like, Loki, you don't have to do that part. And
Loki's just going all out, voguing like crazy.
Yeah, Loki's
like what Bugs Bunny might do if there's a plot to dress Daffy up.
Well,
it's like, look, this is my jam.
Yeah, except Bugs Bunny does it as like a trickster.
Mm-hmm.
Loki's just doing it. He's disguising. The pronouns are getting fucky again. But that's an interesting point. When this happens, when Loki becomes the bridesmaid and Thor disguises himself as Freya, Thor is still referred to as masculine, with masculine pronouns even in drag. Loki changes pronouns in the original Prose Edda.
So full on kind of gender fluid.
Yeah, it is what we would call gender fluid. And applying those labels to historical figures is always tricky, but I've always find that argument kind of doesn't hold water, because, like, we also refer to, like, Athenian democracy and American democracy, and those are separated by more time.
Right.
And yet we call them the same thing. So if we can apply different political systems to each other, why is it so fucking alien to apply different sexuality labels to time periods where those words weren't necessarily used?
Yeah, there's also a history, too, when it comes to those translations. I guarantee you that there was a version of that tale where it was like, no, we stick with the he's. And then it was corrected as it went along, as got more understanding.
Yeah, and there's also, of course, Christianity taking these stories and maintaining.
Yeah, I believe it was like a Christian era where the Loki eating a heart and giving birth to all kinds of sins came from.
Well, yeah, it's also very Christian to be like. It's just very Christian to be like, this is Loki. We chose this god to be the devil god. And it's not really a god, it's actually Satan in disguise, and that's why he's gay. So, look out. They think that everything's gay. They think that anyone who's, like, trans or, like, gender non-conforming or actually gay or bisexual or, like, Catholic is gay.
Yeah, so throwing... oftentimes in these tales, it's about... and from that era, is lopping all the blame on stuff onto the scapegoat of Loki.
Yeah, which, that's what the story of Loki, Thor gets his hammer back and stuff. That's what the story... Yay! I'm planning on doing the same thing at Adam's wedding.
Getting the hammer back?
Yeah, I'm getting... You took my fucking... You took... Well, no, I don't want to be Thor in that fucking situation. Come on.
Yeah.
Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am in this?
Go
What
on.
do you think I'm going for? Anyway, I forget. So, anyway, Loki also, with a giantess fathers 3 entities known as Hel, Jormungandr the giant snake, and Fenrir the wolf.
Yes. The tale Fenrir is a pretty classic one. This big wolf baddie that the gods are trying to restrain. They keep trying out different kinds of ropes to hold him down.
Adam,
And when... Oh, but I'm sorry?
you do know the word baddie means something else now?
Oh, yes.
Down
It
to
is a bad
fuck
wolf.
a wolf. Adam Lemma is down to fuck a wolf. We fucking got him, guys. We're down to fuck a wolf. We fucking got his ass.
I meant like a big bad wolf.
Mm-hmm. A BBW?
Yeah, yeah, BBW. So they're trying to lasso this big BW.
This big BW.
They forge a chain that the wolf will be unable to break from. The wolf suspects this thing and says, "Hey, why don't you put your hand in my mouth? And if I can't get out, I'm gonna bite the hand." That's the only way I'll agree to this.
Mm-hmm.
And that fool god Tyr was like, "Sounds good to me. Let's go." Fenrir is unable to escape. Eats Tyr's hand. That's why he's the one-headed god.
Hmm.
But Loki's not in that. That's Loki's son.
Yeah. So,
Do we have anything else to cover on Loki, the mythological figure?
Oppenheimer didn't hang dong.
You know, he didn't hang dong, but he did, like, sit in a chair naked. Which I think is more than I was expecting to see.
Yeah, but it was like, they went, like, the internet rumor spread that it was all like, oh, excessive nudity, whoa, and it's like, what'd that turn out to be? Like, a woman's ass, big fucking whoop. I can see that on fucking Nick Jr., okay? I don't...
Yeah, imagine the most nudity you've ever seen in an R-rated movie. But the movie that you saw was, I guess, I don't know, Terminator.
It's less than that even. It's like early seasons Game of Thrones where it's like the nudity, and it's like the nudity is like a titty. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's like two titties twice.
Never seen that before.
It's it's kind of what we call the most Nolan ever did, which is like nothing.
It's amazing that he has female characters in this movie though. That's new for him.
Yeah, they don't talk, but they're around.
Yeah.
I like people that said, like, well, it's got to be his story.
They didn't invent women until 1994.
That's why Josh Peck presses a big red button. I'm pressing it. What was it? Loki is currently chained up to a pile of rocks, being dripped on by some venom. Slowly being healed until the end times, where he'll be released for Ragnarok, and I guess I think fight Heimdall until they both die.
That's a rough situation to be in, honestly.
It is. His children are going to play a major role in it, and that's why he got into all kinds of trouble and for actually having them. But prophecy's prophecy is what I say.
Yeah, imagine that you're just like that for like hundreds of thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Adam, I'm recording this as we're talking right now. It's completely natural, not edited, no filter. What would another podcast sound like if we listened to that instead? I bet it would sound something like this.
In 2017, Universal Studios announced the birth of a new shared universe of monster movies, bringing their classic horror icons into the contemporary franchise film landscape. But after the critical and financial failure of its first installment, the project was indefinitely abandoned. Now, in 2022, the powers that be have called upon one pulp horror devotee and one snarky film critic to unearth the concept. I'm Dylan Roth.
And I'm Dalton DeShane.
Are you afraid of the dark universe?
So, Loki, the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people know Loki through the MCU, and before that, I guess the Marvel Comics, where portrayed as the brother to Thor, adopted son of Odin.
Which is different from the original mythology.
Right.
Where he's more of a dark counterpart to Odin.
Yeah, they're not father and son, they're more equals.
They're brothers.
Brothers. So, that's how the...
Brothers in Christ.
That's how the relationships are organized, and I'm just realizing I have to sum up the whole goddamn everything Loki ever did in Avengers. You get it. He's a trickster. He loves those Infinity Gems. He wants to get his own. He was all about that Tesseract in that first movie, and in a separate timeline, he picks up the Tesseract and gets teleported and deals with the TVA. What's that stand for?
The Tennessee Valley Authority.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he runs into all kinds of trouble down south. He's the new sheriff in town, and the people don't like him that much.
Anyway.
So the Time Variance Authority is a group of, I would call it, 60s dressed, like kind of sharply square-tied individuals.
Yeah. The point is, they go through time and stuff. And the point is, in the original, the Thor movies that take place in Asgard and stuff, and, Loki comes to Earth and tries to take over New York and everything, because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And he's this awesome, bombastic, a little bit Saturday morning cartoon, very queer-coded villain.
Yeah.
With, lines I'm Loki of Asgard, and I'm burdened with glorious purpose. That kind of thing.
Yeah, real good, actually.
Yeah, thank you. And
he chews the scenes that he's in. He controls people's minds and swaps places and plays all kinds of you see the mischief apparent, and people love him. He was always drawn as a Winnie the Pooh character with all the other Winnie the Pooh characters when people were doing artwork for that.
Yeah, and then in the lead up to the marketing for the Loki series, when that came out after Endgame, where the 3 variations of Loki have died or whatever, and the timeline and the such and such and comic book superhero garbage, you get it. You've seen the movie or you haven't and you don't care. And in the marketing, there's a flash second of Loki's a dossier on Loki, and it says sex fluid, and it's that is how he is in the mythology and things. And Tom Hiddleston puts out an interview saying that's always kind of been a part of it. You get the role of Loki, you read a bit about Loki, and you're oh shit, this is gayer than I thought.
Yeah,
or the gender fluid a year, but you get it. I'm using gay in the senso lato. I'm using gay in the bisexual sense.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting canceled now. No.
Yeah, so that was the big kind of thing going into this. Is all right, and the reason why Loki has a series is because the character is beloved, not just the Loki character is a fan favorite, but it's like, oh, cool, you're going to be more representative by having such this, this queer colored character as your protagonist.
Yeah, or protagoness, as you once coined.
Yes, I said that.
Yeah.
All right.
You said protagoness during.
This is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really glad I did that.
Oh fuck! How did all the cancel go from him to me to back to him?
Yes. And that.
What is going on?
That was definitely a selling point and an advertising point. And once the bulk of the series came out, they really just bleached the character. His morality's been bleached. He used to be a very kind of gray-coded character, as in, like, sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. The last movie that we saw him in, most of the last movie that we saw him in was Thor Ragnarok, where he has a lot of, stab you in the back, but we're really brothers, relationship with Thor. Really fun to see. And this one, they basically said, well, since you're the hero of a Disney Plus series, you cannot be tricky anymore. You cannot be a bad boy in any way, shape, or form. You have to... Here's the mantle of responsibility of the protagonist. You're not allowed to make jokes. You're not allowed to be weird and different. You are... Yeah, you've become milquetoast.
The plot revolves a lot around, different variants of Loki and, different iterations of him that are slightly different from each other, and it's branching timelines and all that. In this universe you're a little taller, in this universe you're an alligator, no one questions it, that's funny because it's wacky and wild. And there's only ever one black Loki. And it's what's different about him? And the credits are oh, that's boastful Loki, and it's yeah, that's the difference. None of the other Lokis are boastful, I suppose. Except for all the time.
It's one of those things where they kind of just... it's definitely a series that has way too many ideas. 6 episodes, but in my opinion, it covers the contents of 2 full seasons. Way too fast.
Oh yeah. Imagine things from the perspective of Black Loki or of
oh yeah,
Sylvie.
Absolutely. So Sylvie is a main character in the series. A bad variant of Loki that we learn about that is revealed. Oh, shocker! It's a lady.
Yeah, which shocker apparently for this character whose sex is labeled as fluid on his dossier, and I'm gonna keep using his, even though a they might be. If I were writing a modern Loki,
yeah, I think a modern Loki would go by they. And for some it just, even though this character is basically themselves, another version of themselves. They do so much to go from an interesting character self-exploration to a, kind of the most heterosexual paint that we can place on this.
Yeah, it's...
They're alright, first thing, she doesn't go by Loki. She goes by a different name that's very that's very different from Loki.
Yeah, it's based on a character in the comics who's a completely separate character who's not a variant of Loki at all. There's also no intersectionality, is the problem.
What do you mean by that?
Female Loki is first off, that's the hat, is you're the girl one, or you're the black one. Because unless it's a white male heterosexual Southern Baptist, that's the default, and any trait whatsoever besides that specific demographic of person is a hat you put on.
And I think this was not done with the most dexterous stuff. You have a Rick and Morty writer at the head of this, and that's the bit. It's oh yeah, you're red hats Loki, you're old man Loki, and when it's in reality there would be just as many lady Lokis there as guy ones.
Yeah,
if we're talking about infinite variations here, there'd be more queer ones. There'd be more in betweens. There'd be a lot of everything, but instead you have it's a couple shades of paint.
Yeah, and it's
they're bits. That's all that they are, bits.
Yeah, it's the only bit of, like, oh, Loki is technically bi that you get in the show is, like, one line in one episode where Sylvie mentions something about, like, implies something about, like, having sex with princesses or maybe a prince, and then Loki says a bit of both. Like, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And then we move on to the next line, as quickly as possible. And it's a craven, feeble gesture. It's so fast it goes by. It's like, these are the crumbs we're supposed to get.
It's a real actions speak louder than words situation.
The problem is that, like, it's so hard to reinforce one's bisexuality. Because if you, or to reaffirm it, because if you are, like, a straight woman and you kiss your husband or something, that's you reaffirming your sexuality. If you're a gay man, you talk about your boyfriend with your mom or something, and that's reaffirming your homosexuality. If, like, what do I do? Do I have to kiss, like, an identical number of each one of the two genders that there are, quote-unquote?
It's hard to do without showing a full-on, like, polycule on screen, or even, if not going as far as full relationships, then saying, like, there has to be a love triangle that this character is in the center of.
Yeah, it's like, I can't, we're so used to getting heat from both sides, and I'll say that's, I'm speaking for me, and people like me, not Adam. But it's like, we're so used to getting heat from both sides, and there's not really a bisexual culture in the way that there is for straight culture, and there's, like, a gay culture and stuff. Like, bisexuality more kind of, like, weaves in between those two, and it's always, like, you need to just announce how interested you are in whatever other sex there is. Like, because if I'm in a room where I'm boy moding, because that's what I do all the time because I'm a fucking coward, and I'm in there, and, like, there's dudes talking about women or something, I could join in, but instead I think I'll stay quiet, because if I don't talk about dudes exactly half as much, then, like, all of a sudden I'm labeled as one of the guys, and then, like, you know how straight people talk when there's no gay people around, and it's not great. Or, like, and then the opposite can also happen. Although if I'm surrounded by gay people, more likely that I'm a little more honest with them. But, so, what I'm saying is, it makes it so easy to substitute that, lack of validation, that lack of ability to reaffirm oneself in, like, a culture or in an online space where we make up memes about not being able to sit right or cuff jeans or something in lieu of having an actual culture. And it's so easy to commodify that, to sell validation to you. And so we, like, settle for crumbs, like, a bit of both. And you get all these fucking Tumblr things going on about that.
People loved that one line, which my reaction was like, you guys are really popping the champagne at a just a little inch here.
Yeah, have you seen all of Torchwood? Like, that show is 15 years old, and it's, like, the biased of shows.
Right, and it's, I think that's, in addition to a couple story beats, they slept on an opportunity here, because this could be a very fluid character, which can lead to a lot of fluid stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to quick go over the structure of the series, just because it backs up my point here. Loki joins the TVA. Episode 2, he learns about a variant Loki who's a lady, who he's, like, basically teamed up with.
Also, they take him out of his incredibly, like, over-the-top, like, villain robes of, like, the Jafar outfit, with, like green Jafar, basically, and put him in, like, a little businessman suit and a little businessman tie, and pat him on the head and tell him, like, you're Boba Fett now and you have to be nice.
Yeah, and it really sucks, because I feel like we just fast-forwarded through a whole, like, at least half season, if not a full season there, of Loki working for the TVA, and it being like a back and forth relationship. Like, is he a bad cop that's like, is he a loose cannon that doesn't play by the rules? Is he always doing Loki tricks? It's a show that's almost too meta for its own good. Mobius, his Lightning McQueen like buddy who's kind of his boss, telling him what to do. Says way more times than actually occurs. You're Loki, you're gonna be tricky and do some Loki thing. When he's the most, I would call it, boring version of the character, who you doesn't have time in the story to do any Loki things.
Yeah, it's not like any, it's 0% of how dare you touch me? Do you know that I'm Loki and such a blah blah blah? It's no opportunity for having fun with that. It's as soon as he meets Mobius, he becomes a little business boy, and he becomes a little golden retriever, and he's like, hey, Mobius, can I help with this? Can I help with that? Da, da, da. I'm a detective now on a CW show or some shit. And it's
yeah.
And yet, with all the shit that they give him with Mobius, with all of the, emotional connection there and all the shipping dynamic, they just throw a girl character at him. Mm-hmm. And it's there you go, this is het, so it sticks.
And they throw it at him, and they still, shame him for it.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing, Loki? You know who that is? That's another you. Which... what? That's disgusting. Look at her. She looks different and has a different name. And is essentially a whole nother person.
The other you part is the part that I liked the most about Loki and Sylvie. But
I agree. I think that there's something interesting to explore there.
He fell in love with himself. That's wonderful. That's adorable. That's something that I've done.
Yeah, it's something that I could see, scenes of them bonding over that kind of thing, having shared memories and and experiences, and that it's an interesting thing to explore that they do not do. Instead, they have in 2 episodes, they do another half season worth of stories where of them teaming up to fight the TVA. Learning that the timekeepers, the lizards that are in charge, are nothing. They're placed there, and they get deleted, sent to what you call the outskirts, where they meet a whole town of all these different kind of Lokis. Mm-hmm. For 1 episode, when I think that is a great half season, if not a full season of the show. Have him interact with all kinds of Lokis. Have him there's all these different factions and groups of them. Who am I going to team up with? It starts off with this party of Lokis, a group of 4 adventurers that just say hey, you want to join us? No, meet all of them individually. What's their story? What's going on here? If you're looking for a bisexual culture environment, I think a city of Lokis might be a great place for it.
Yeah, and in fact, you can't compare any kind of representation that you might see on TV or something. That's all well and good and everything, but it is nothing compared to, or creating, queer spaces online. That's nothing compared to just sitting in a room with 20 bisexuals and just talking about shit.
Imagine sitting in a group therapy scene, but it's all different versions of you.
Hmm.
I think that could be some really just interesting, head scratch, piece to chew on and type of stuff. It's there's a reason why those are, I guess, popular episodes of Rick and Morty comes to mind, where it's just you can do all kinds of neat tricks with that kind of stuff, and so I like City of Lokis. I think they should have spent more than an episode on it.
Think about what it's like for Black Loki, though.
Think about it for a second.
You're exposed to hundreds of other versions of yourself, and you are the only one that's black. What do you think that says about you? Adam, here, let me put you in. I'm gonna treat you like Gordon Ramsay in a Tumblr post and put you in a situation.
Okay. Can I request that this situation be Welsh Loki? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so you go to the TVA and you meet you get sent to the other time or whatever the fuck happens in the goddamn Disney show, and you meet a bunch of different Adams, and they're all black women except you. What do you think that's gonna fucking?
Yeah, that's a big thing to bite into. That is not something I would be real casual about.
Exactly. Yes. Now I had to fucking
I would say,
you, but
I guess I'm usually a black woman.
Do you see how fucking weird that is? That there's only one black Loki and only one girl Loki. And
man, it'd be amazing if he said that. Because I guess most Lokis are white guys.
Right, yeah. They don't even drop that in the show because they just act like, it's not even, like, they act like they don't even do anything about that, and, like, the other Lokis that Loki talks to are all like, huh, a girl Loki? Huh, that's crazy, I bet she's be shopping. And Loki's like, huh, yeah, fellow head dudes, hell yeah, keg stand. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. And it's like, that's not how a queer person would act. That's how a fucking frat bro would act.
Yeah, they even posit different Lokis that could be different. They have, like, a president Loki. Like, even in, like, the kind of political dialogue sense, it's like, this should be a very different with what's going on here. Maybe it's a Loki that's kind of hidden his more, different sexuality pieces to it. There's something to bite into there. Or maybe there's all kinds of lessons for regular Loki to learn from this environment. It's a bit of a duck amuck when it's just like, oh, what makes Loki? You can actually get into that in this kind of environment.
And they ask that question almost verbatim in the series, and they never attempt to answer it, because the answer is like, you're tricky and you like green, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, the answer is you are a helmet that kids buy at Disney World.
Yeah.
For $100. Like, that's what you are, Loki.
There's just nothing there, because you refuse to explore any deeper than the surface of, this is a helmet that kids buy at Disney World, and the character is generic white man. And I say generic because that's the default, and anything else you put on is a hat. There can't be a black female Loki, because if there was, that would be two hats. That would be two differences from quote-unquote regular people. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. Before we skip over it, I do want to say that I think that the biggest disservice of the Loki series is the last episode.
Oh yeah,
because you don't even get 6 episodes of a Loki series. You get 5.
You get 5, and then fucking a domestic abuser yells at you for 30 minutes.
Yeah, a 30-minute monologue. Like, if this happened in any show, a new character shows up and talks for 30 minutes.
If this didn't have the Marvel backing behind it.
Yeah, but because whenever I talk to anyone about the series, they're like, oh my god, Kang was awesome. It was so cool seeing Kang. And as someone that is only, like, loosely familiar with Marvel canon, I'm just like, how the fuck good is Kang that this is acceptable? And I think history has proven me right that this was not the move. And it kind of is this shitty little addendum on this that isn't even going to match up with whatever they do in the future because of Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, which like
so yeah. They spend all this time and energy on the wrong thing at the end of this that isn't even Loki based anymore. It's full on a just generic Marvel hero fight, like debate.
Okay, so let's ask the question now. Let's finish the positivity sandwich.
Okay, yes.
How?
It's a dark place there. Let's lighten up.
Yeah. How do we fix this in Loki season 2? Kev has given us the fucking keys. How do we fix this in Loki season 2?
Okay, so I think that it's. So Loki returns.
This is scab work, and we can never work in Hollywood again after this, by the way.
It's already been produced. It's still coming out. We're clear.
Yeah.
But Loki has, at the end of the series, has returned to the TVA, and it's different. He's, like, misremembered and things like that. 10 seasons of Loki getting into NCIS style, working for the TVA. No, I'm not that long, nearly, but, yeah, show Loki in situations that require him to be the trickster god that we know and love.
Exactly, yes. And
not just the MCU trickster, but like this mythological one. The disguising yourself as someone that's not the gender that you're normally seen as. The turning into creatures and other beings to kind of pass yourself up. A spy show starring a magical shapeshifter is a great idea.
Loki, Agent of Asgard, even. Now, I want to draw a distinction here, an important distinction with the use of the word disguise.
Okay.
A disguise is fake.
Yes. So, have you seen the new Netflix movie Pneumonia yet?
It's on my to-do list.
there's a ᚲᚹᛖᚖᚗ style shapeshifter character who has a moment that's very much like that, which is like, there is no... this isn't a form. This isn't a person. All these are me.
Yes, precisely.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's true to Loki. Like, a disguise means that you are not this thing, but Loki is all those things.
Loki was a milkmaid for 8 years. They don't talk about that in the show. Loki was a milkmaid for 8 years and gave birth to children. You're telling me that he was completely het the whole time. You're telling me he was, like, listening to college football, sitting in a bathtub in the backyard, in the front yard, with, like, a fucking loaded gun and reading Cormac McCarthy, or whatever it is straight people do, I don't know. But, like...
Yeah.
Like, no, Loki became that, and I think, honestly, Loki's in a situation now where all of his allies were stripped away one by one. He said goodbye to Mobius at the end of time, and Sylvie betrayed him in Kang's place after she stabbed Kang. And now Loki is, like, forced into this alternate TVA that kind of always was. It's just different now. And there's, like, a different Mobius and everything. He's so alone, he's gonna have to reach out to someone who's there. It's alternate Mobius. I think they need to explore that connection. They need to not be cowards. They need to not be craven, feeble gesture makers, as Russell T Davies put it, and actually make that connection romantic in some way. I don't care if you just say they're boyfriends and then they never fucking kiss. Just do something, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Or goddess's sake.
I don't disagree with that. It's a great way to... You have to do more with these existing characters besides having them just be, I guess, voice pieces for... that talk to each other and move the plot along. Have them interact.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it.
Exactly. They need to do something that we're not expecting. They need to do something we're not expecting in a way that... They need to do something that's fuck not expecting, fuck expectation. They need to do something goddamn right for once.
Yeah, so much of that first series was just Mobius just talking at Loki and saying, like, you're just gonna do a big old Loki thing. Show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
like that's the best version of that. I think I realized, like, saying it, putting together, like, kind of what I could see this being, and it's if you do more stuff with more different Lokis and stuff, the approach is something a la Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this Loki can be your kind of a Spider-Verse style story in this MCU.
Yeah.
Where you interact with different styles of Loki. They're not all just a good guy and a bad guy. It's like, sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're not. I just love the idea of going through different time periods. They're in ancient Egypt, and there's a Loki here. That's like, he's become Pharaoh. It's Pharaoh Loki. But he's there for very specific reasons that parallel regular Loki. He found himself lost, and he was looking for a place where he could, like, have control over things. And then Loki learns a thing or two by capturing him and bringing him in. Like, that's a story. Have several stories in a series. Don't just have it be a long movie.
They really do that, don't they?
The MCU series that I've seen seem to have this problem.
You know, Spider-Verse did it different because it's not, like, variations on the same individual. It's variations on the spider totem.
Oh, are you thinking about turning Loki into more of an idea? Or like an aspect than a singular person?
Loki is a god.
Yeah.
Rather than a person, per se. I mean, in the MCU, they just made the gods are just advanced aliens, but, like...
Well, Loki's also a very specific god in the sense that he was adopted by giants.
Mm-hmm.
Adopted from giants into Odin's family. Like, what is a Loki that was adopted into a different family?
Yeah.
What is a Loki that was raised by giants continuously?
Well, they do that a little bit in What If, but it's not very, like, seriously explored.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think that's I'd love to see it more.
Yeah, it's passable. But you know what would be great? Is if, you know what Loki variant I want to see? Cishet Loki.
Oh, just right.
Fucking, we need some contrast here. Like,
I think that's if you're trying to make our current Loki look the most kind of the queerest. I think that's a good way to do it.
You want Loki to be Disney's first gay character or some shit? Like fucking, alright, fucking throw college football Loki on there. Why is that my paragon of heterosexuality? Adam, can you possibly explain that to me at all?
I do not know. But yeah, you need like called a Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to show how much our first Buzz Lightyear has grown.
Yes. Oh my god, that exactly.
Yeah, sure. Or even going the other one of we see Lokis throughout the main series, and they all feel different. Why doesn't Loki feel different anymore? Because he needs more things to bounce off of and contrast to.
Yeah.
Alternative, and this is something I hope they do. I feel like it's the most likely is showing different versions of Sylvie.
Absolutely, yes.
Different versions of Lady Loki and iterations on that.
Let's look at let's not even worry about different variations on Sylvie. Our own Sylvie.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like the Sylvie that showed up in season 1 and stuff. We don't know anything about how she grew up. Did she have a Thor? Did she have an Odin? What was
Wasn't
her...
there something about how she killed Thor and that was her thing? Or was that someone else?
That was someone else. That was Kid Loki.
Okay, yeah. We don't know shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us some deets. Explore. I imagine a whole episode where it goes into Sylvie before the events of the series.
You know what could fix that? Is if there was a season of them just going around time being time cops. Exactly like what you were saying.
Yeah, a season of Time Cop. It was a great pitch. I think the pilot episode might be the best episode of the show.
Yeah.
Because what it says is that, alright, Infinity Stones ain't shit. This is a Loki that is going on a mission. He's a new figure, and they pitch it, and then they say, alright, but seriously now, let's get to a story. No, I want to see Loki doing odd jobs.
Let's not get to a story. Let's get to a narrative. Like, let's not explore these characters and, explore a theme or something. Let's just have things happen. Let's just put Loki in a situation.
So Loki dies at the top of Infinity War. And I think, based off dialogue in Season 1, it sounds like he didn't really... It sounds like they're gonna paint it that he didn't really die. He just made he learns how to make a super illusion of himself. Mm-hmm. And then travels back to that point in time, and he secretly hangs out on a planet with Sylvie or something like that. I'm more like, we brought back Loki. You brought back Loki for this series. Make something out of it. You can't, if he's gonna be back and have an arc, you need more steps to have an arc.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a really round line.
Yeah, they killed off Loki, and then they went back in time and grabbed a copy of Loki from the past, and then they showed him a DVD of what happened to him in the main timeline, just so they could have their same character back. And it's...
But he's not, the character that they have is not even, isn't even the one that we left. This isn't Thor Ragnarok Loki. He doesn't act like him. He's not having fun.
You know what would have worked is if they just took, a bio scan of Loki from the main timeline at the moment he died, and just uploaded him into this variant.
Honestly, fuck that. Don't even, don't catch him up. Have it be that Avengers-style Loki, and have him be a little different.
Yeah, and then, put him through character development again.
Mm-hmm. Imagine they do time travel bits and jumping around, and he finds himself interacting with that matured Thor Ragnarok Loki.
Yeah.
And learning something from him.
That's perfect!
Yeah, it's time travel. It shouldn't be boring. You shouldn't only go to Walmart in the near future.
The most exotic place they could think of is Walmart in the year 2040 in the hurricane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time travel. It writes itself. It's Napoleon Loki, and he's trying to make decisions that Napoleon failed on.
There's a bit where he's D.B. Cooper, but it's just a weird Family Guy cutaway.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's from the first step. I wanted more of that shit. I want more Loki's fucking around through time.
Yeah, and they don't even...
Mount Rushmore architect of Loki.
Yes. Loki...
He wants to put his face on history.
Putt-Putt travels through time for Loki, though.
Loke travels through time?
Yeah, it's just a mess, is what it is. It's...
I think we have some good pitches. As always, we're going to send this podcast to the important bodies. In this case, that's the Disney Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna place on Bob Iger's desk.
It might be Tim Cook. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right up there so they know to UCG to alter the series coming out in October.
It's fucking insane that Disney earned my goodwill by engaging with a legal battle with this dude that wants me and everyone I know to be killed and hung in the streets until dead for all to see. And then this writer's strike happened and Bob Iger is immediately like, well, we should rip out their hearts and eat them in front of their kids, right? The writers and stuff, we should do that, definitely. And it's well, fuck. Now it's just Godzilla versus Predator. Whoever loses, we lose again.
Right. And I actually, this is a good time to bring up, there's a snack page that I want to share where people can help donate to the people on strike to make sure that they stay fed and happy as they're fighting for their rights as to live in these and work in these environments. They deserve it. They work hard. I feel like writers on the right condition write better, and that's what I want from these series.
Yeah, honestly, absolutely. Give them.
Give them conditions and time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're writing under a pressed environment, then shit comes out.
Mm-hmm. That's ultimately the problem here. And not all the writers, also not all the members of the WGA or the Screen Actors Guild, not all of them are huge big budget people. They're not all Tom Cruise. They don't all have big old fucking McMansions somewhere in SoCal. Half of them, more than half, are just someone who booked a commercial once. That level.
And being there are, I think was it the average? I think it was the average salary for actors, that are in SAG is something around $21,000. They don't qualify for the insurance that they normally get because of how little money there is for the majority of people on there.
Yeah, and with streaming residuals, Orange is the New Black. Netflix was bragging about how that was technically bigger than Game of Thrones, but we won't ever tell you how much bigger because then they would have to...
Yeah, metrics, we get it.
Yeah, then we would have to ask the awkward question of, wait, why is my residual check for this program where I'm the main character in Orange is the New Black, and it's as big as Game of Thrones, and my residual is 2 cents?
Yeah, it's next to nothing.
Yeah.
So they have to restructure that for our modern day. Mm-hmm. But I think a rewarded writer, a creative writer, can actually will help people out more with this. That's a big stat that's been going around because of Oppenheimer plus and Barbie together have a smaller budget than Thor: Love and Thunder, and that is because of the craft that went into it. It wasn't fast cranked out by studios and CG machines. I think that a craft behind the production. That's how you can get more bang for your buck when it comes to a Loki series. If you're talking about doing 10 episodes instead of 6, and we have some adventures with the characters, to get that kind of, I'm thinking more Legends of Tomorrow style TV. You need creative writers to spread it out, and they can do it. I believe that those writers exist.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best thing Marvel has ever put out.
I know you're a huge fan of that series since way back when, and it's a big series too, right? They spread the love across it.
Yeah, 7 seasons, 22 episodes ish a season. They aired
yes, that's some good old TV.
They aired it on TV, so you get money from being on the show. You get money from working. Shocking, amazing, wow.
Yeah. No, it's a good move, and I think that there's got to be some middle ground between the long movies that we get now, broken up into drip fed every week, and that kind of production. So I hope that better models are implemented and the strike ends positively for the laborers.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the final question I have for you is, what would you rate Loki in the final rating place?
We talking about Loki the god? We talking about Loki the character? We talking about Loki the series?
We've spread our thoughts on the series. Let's talk Loki the god, then Loki the character.
Loki the god is... I think we're overblowing it a little bit. I think the whole like gender fluidity thing, because Loki is frequently thought of as a male god. And I feel like to some extent if there was still a very large, I'm not saying there's no one, but if there was still a very large following of Loki into the present day, I would expect to see more people emphasizing the gender fluidity aspect of him, and maybe even referring to the god as them. One more thing Christianity took away from us is big titty goth Loki. Show me that variant. But
BTGL.
But even so, you can't deny that that's there. That is a real element of the actual mythology, and it's something that deserves to be celebrated, because that's not a figure we have in our, modern mythology of Christianity and stuff, and it's not even a figure we have in our modern mythology of pop culture, if you want to put big air quotes around the word mythology.
I think it's really cool to have someone in your pantheon it's like a dastardly figure.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make them evil, doesn't make them Satan, the worst thing that there is. It's someone that is both good and bad, which I think reflects life and living.
Yeah.
A lot more than an all good or all evil.
He's a dark mirror to Odin, and Odin, even when you contrast Odin with Loki, Odin doesn't always come out smelling like absolute roses.
Absolutely not.
I like this model. I like this pantheon so much more than I like the Christian pantheon, where it's like anything good that happens, if you have a baby, that's because it's God. It's God's baby. God fucked your wife. If anything bad happens, that's because you watched college football instead of eating a vegetable, or maybe the opposite. I'm not sure. And the devil did it.
I think you need to watch some college football. That might be the solution here.
Just watch some college football. Just fucking go Gators. There's got to be a Gators team, right?
Yeah, like you said, the song "Isn't She Lovely?" You have to listen. You have to watch through some college football to get it out of your system.
Never. Death before dishonor. Absolutely not.
In that case, I have a new sport to recommend to you. It's called slam ball. I think everyone should be enjoying it right now.
Slam ball.
We're currently in the height of the slam ball season.
All right, I'll give it a Google.
Yeah, you pick your team. You be one of the Griffins, or a buzzsaw.
Well, the Griffins is very monstery. That's very monster themed.
But anyway, back to Loki the god.
Back to Loki the god. I'll go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 because he's an actual object of worship for people.
Oh, Loki the mythological figure. Has some great adventures. Is a different piece of the puzzle. I said all these things already. I'm not going to read it myself. You know what? 9.7.
Okay.
Way up there. Loki's pretty great.
Yeah.
I think if there's ever a shapeshifter that I would give top gold to, it's Loki.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. Now, Loki the character. I mean, they did my boy dirty. They did my boy dirty, and they did my dirty boy,
Yeah, Loki right now is a very boring 5 out of 10. If that's what you call a standard character, if not something insulting like a 4 or a 3, all the fun parts about this character have been removed.
Taking the whole character into consideration.
Oh, top to bottom. Okay, well,
a 7, an 8. Could be better, could be way worse. It's just fun. It's like Loki comes on stage for 2013 Comic-Con and just Tom Hiddleston just hams it up on the Comic-Con stage. That was funny. That was good. And that was
I think that was a very important missing ingredient in the MCU in the early days, and especially in the later days. Having a villain that yucks it up, that has a blast, that goes full ham.
Yeah, just
you love to see it.
yeah, like it's fun to do an impression of like Avengers Loki. You can do that bit in like a Saturday Night Live kind of skit, and it'll be funny. How would you pretend to be like Loki, the series Loki? Just like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm a good little boy. Don't step on me. Don't step on me. I went to a universe where everyone's big and I'm tiny. Don't step on me. Just feed me lettuce.
This would be fun if it wasn't for all the paperwork I have to do.
Fucking...
Loki in the series is just me at my job. He's just...
Compare that to, like, how dare you touch the son of Loki? Like, let me sink my teeth in. Sorry, got a little excited.
I am your new god.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the Loki I want to see more of, and I hope he returns in some way, shape, or form, or they redeem this Loki and make him more fun. He comes out fun on the other end.
Just have him come out fun on the other end, yeah. You know what? Have him come out fun on the other end. Maybe he doesn't come out a Maybe he comes out a them, you know?
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And hoping for the best for the god of mischief.
Hoping for the best for the god of mischief. Whatever kind of miss they might want to chiff.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. Check out our Discord. Share the podcast with a friend. Anyone that's a big Loki season fan and you feel like these are thoughts they need to hear.
Yes, absolutely. We're the authoritative voice on this. We didn't stumble the fuck around for 90% of this show.
Well, thanks for joining us. See you next time, campers. Does he ever say campers?
Yeah, all the time. It's one of his favorite things.